In today's video, I'm going to show you how to use and master conversion-focused content so you can drive more sales consistently in your business in 2024. And what I mean by conversion-focused content is content that you intentionally create to be able to generate more inbound leads, book more sales calls in your calendar, to be able to sign up more clients and ultimately generate more cash flow for you and your business on a predictable basis. You and I both know that information right now is commoditized. Content is a commodity. There's over 300,000 posts being published across all platforms every single day right now. And so we can no longer just post and pray that it's going to get us results. We have to think a little bit differently. We have to think more strategically in order to create that consistency and predictability. Because I don't know if you're anything like me, but a couple of years ago, I remember doing okay in my business. You know, we had months where we were generating $20, $30, $40, $50,000, but some weeks we had like our calendars freaking full. Like it was amazing. We had 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 calls in the books where I was like, I can't take anymore. And then there would be another week that we had nothing, and it was freaking stressful. And it was not a fun way to grow a business because I was like, damn, dude, like I'm posting the same content. Why isn't it getting results right now like it did the last week? And it was super inconsistent. And I felt left to like literally having to post and pray that it worked. And there was no real strategy in place. And so that's what led me to like getting to work and figuring out like, how can I make content predictable? How can I make this consistent? And everybody used to say, you can't make organic content consistent. You can't make ads consistent, like because the algorithms will change or things will happen. And I've learned that that's simply not true. You can make organic content consistent, just like you can make ads consistent and predictable. It all matters in like some of the underlying principles and tactical things that a lot of people don't really do, or they don't really focus on. You know, a lot of people just focus on posting the content. You know what I'm saying? They provide information. They're trying to give valuable stuff. You know, or maybe on the other extreme, they're just trying to be vulnerable and they're sharing all their stuff on social media to try to build better connections with their audience, but nothing's really happening on a regular basis. That's what we're going to walk through today. So the first principle, what we're going to do is I'm going to walk you through a few principles that have served me very well over the years. And then I'm going to walk you through some strategies and some tactics that you could take away from today's video and directly apply into your business right now. So the first principle that we want to talk about here is that your brand messaging, like the words that you use within all of your content, all of your marketing, is the 95% that's going to produce the results when it comes to you generating inbound leads, when it comes to you actually pre-selling people and creating demand for your stuff. And so your messaging is absolutely key. And I always describe messaging in a way that makes sense for me. It's like the calories to a nutrition plan. And so the analogy that I love to use is, and hopefully this will resonate with you, is that say somebody's trying to lose weight and they're just randomly eating food. You know what I'm saying? They're making better choices. They stopped eating freaking hamburgers and drinking a 6-pack every night. So they're making better choices, but they're still not eating the right amount of calories. Maybe they're eating like 200, something ridiculously low, or they're still eating healthy food, but way too high of calories. They're not going to get the results they want. Am I right? And the same thing is true with content. You know, people are making better choices. They're sharing valuable information, right? But the messaging isn't dialed in. And so the content, the information they're sharing just kind of adds to the noise. It blends in with everything else that's being shared. And so dialing in your messaging and positioning is absolutely crucial. And I've done plenty of videos on this channel about messaging and positioning and brand strategy as a whole. And so I highly recommend that you check out the channel for more, but just understand that's principle number one. So if you're like, dude, I'm just sharing content, but your messaging and your positioning isn't dialed in, you're going to be beating your head against the wall because you're not going to have the results that you could. The second principle that we want to cover here is going to be creating content sequences, not just one-off posts. The thing that like drove me crazy and stressed me out for a long time is I was like, people were like, oh, you should post an authority post, or you should, share a value post, or you should show social proof. And that's all great. Those are all types of content. But that's like somebody saying like, you should eat a potato, right? You should have a carbohydrate. You should have a protein. It's great information, but the problem is when there is no actual strategy or system to it, it's going to fall flat. Or you might have one post that does well and maybe gets you some leads or gets you some clients, but it's like hard to recreate that. So when you sequence out your content, and I'm going to explain more here in just a moment, but when you sequence out your content and you actually have an intentional strategy behind what you're posting and when, and what hooks you're using, what call to actions you're using, how you're communicating a story or connecting the topic that you're sharing with your audience, all of that matters. And a lot of people don't think about that, which is why a lot of people don't get consistent results. So that's principle number 2, is creating content sequences versus one-off posts. Principle number 3 is leveraging the algorithm to get more visibility. Something that we teach inside of the In-Demand Coach program, which is my signature one-to-one mentorship program, is that you have to build a tribe funnel on one main platform, especially when you're under $100,000 per month. And this is going to be like Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn for a lot of people because it's easier to grow an audience on platforms like that. And each one of those platforms is going to have an algorithm, and those algorithms are going to work differently on different platforms. And so understanding how to actually use the algorithm to get more visibility is going to massively help. I've done separate videos on that. We're not going to go into the nitty gritty today, but just understand that each algorithm has a different way to operate, and your job should be to learn the algorithm on the platform, your main platform of choice, where you're posting your best content so you can leverage it for visibility. And principle number 4 is going to be story, hooks, and call to actions are the difference maker. As I just alluded to, and we're gonna unpack this here in just a moment, a little bit deeper, but just understand that like the story that you use in your content to connect the idea or the insight or the value that you're trying to share with the reader or the viewer matters a lot. It's going to make a massive difference in if your content actually produces leads or doesn't. And your hooks, like how you actually angle your content, right? So if I was going to say, here's how to lose 5 pounds or 10 pounds, that's like that's a very commoditized hook. Versus if I was going to re-angle it like here's how my client lost 14 pounds in 21 days without skipping her Starbucks route. It's like I'm giving the same information, but I found a way to create a unique angle, a unique hook to it that's going to captivate more attention than if I just kept it very general. Does that make sense? And then the call to action that you use, how you communicate that call to action. Is it very blanket? Are you sending somebody to something of value? Are you trying to get them directly into your inbox? How you communicate the call to action, the words that you use, and if it's clear, if it's not clear, is it specific? Is it not specific? Is somebody going to get something tangible? Really understanding this stuff and being able to effectively use call to actions and hooks and all that, that's going to make or break your content. So those are the 4 major principles that I kind of think through before I even dive into any of the tactical things like what do I post? Do I do a reel? That doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. These principles matter most. So does that make sense? So hopefully it does. With that being said, let's go ahead and dive into some of my most helpful kind of content strategies, and we'll go into like tactical things behind it. Strategy number 1, you got to freaking get eyeballs. You have to get eyeballs on your stuff, especially on your main platform. And so for me, if you're watching this right now on YouTube, shout out, click like and subscribe if you want to see more of this stuff. YouTube is not my main platform as of right now. Facebook is, right? And so I am really focused on getting more eyeballs on Facebook. That's where a lot of our resources, everything is going. YouTube is a newer platform that we've been starting to focus on growing. Because of that, we've put most of our resource up until now on Facebook. So if you go to our Facebook, we'll get like hundreds of likes and comments on a lot of content because we're really focused on driving eyeballs there. And now, as of recently, we're focused on driving eyeballs here to YouTube, right? And so we're going to focus on keywords that we're using, right? This is one of the tactical things that you could do to get eyeballs. But I don't care if you're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, it all works the same. SEO driven, right? Search engine optimized driven. And so using specific keywords that your audience is going to search or they're going to watch. And even that, like the algorithms will show your content on like the discover pages when you're using the right keywords. And what also matters is like where you're promoting it. Like, so this video right here, we're going to promote it in our Facebook and Instagram stories. I'm going to send this to my email list. I'm going to make a post promoting it, sending traffic here, right? So no matter where your main platform is, you want to focus on getting traffic to that, getting eyeballs to that. And so understand this when it comes to eyeballs. Your brand is you. Like, your brand is you. And so if you want more eyeballs on any content that you share, you got to understand that, like, just sharing information, as you now know, and probably have been known, that it's commoditized. You've got to share things that are more like aligned with you. Like, what is important to you? What do you stand for? What do you stand against? What are your values? What are your beliefs? What are those deeper rooted things that is you? Because your brand is you. And if you're not sharing the things that, like, potentially could be polarizing to some people, maybe because you're scared of judgment or rejection or whatever, it's going to really hinder your content. So being able to infuse more of who you are into your content is going to massively help you. As we talked about now about 20 times, information is a commodity. So when it comes to your content and getting eyeballs on it, understand that your goal is to not just connect with people, but be able to shift their perspectives and create demand. And this is where content sequences come into play, which we're going to dive deeper into in just a second, so hang tight. And then another way to get more eyeballs here is, like, understanding that people will work with you because of you, right? Not just your guarantee or your promised outcome anymore. And that's the strategy that people are trying to use. Is they're posting content, especially when they're trying to drive more sales, is they're talking about their guarantees or their promised outcomes. But it's like everybody's making these guarantees, especially since, like, Alex Hormozy came out with a $100 million offers book a few years ago. Like, everybody's, like, ramping up their offers and they're making the same freaking guarantees and the same promised outcomes. And even that's becoming commoditized. So understand that, like, people work with you because of you. And if you really want to get eyeballs, it's sharing more of who you are, right? And again, we're going to go into some more tactical things in just a second. And if you want more eyeballs, just freaking get good at video. Get good at video. Like, I feel like I'm pretty good. I'm okay. I'm decent. I'm a pretty good speaker. I get asked to go speak, right? I'm not the best in the world yet, but I'm pretty good. And so my focus is, over the last few years, is just getting better and better and better and better at video, because that's going to increase the amount of eyeballs that I will get on videos like this or live trainings that I do. We have live trainings sometimes. They get like thousands and thousands of views and hundreds of comments because I've practiced speaking and getting really good at video. And then, of course, being consistent. If you want more eyeballs on your stuff, you've got to consistently drive that traffic, right? So if you're on Facebook, consistently friend requesting people, building your relationships with people, expanding your network, right? This could be on Instagram, consistently putting out better follow me reels, different things to and just being consistent with it. Most people do things very haphazardly, and that's why their results flop. And then even the strategies that you're using, right? Being consistent with those strategies for a long enough time that you can actually become pretty damn good at it. And if you could do that, you're going to start seeing some results. So strategy number 1 is getting eyeballs. And there's a lot of different ways that we just kind of like packed in there that you could do that, but it's really focusing on that stuff and being consistent with it. And then here's the strategy number 2. It's focusing on getting good at writing and speaking your message, right? And so, as I just alluded to, speaking on video, but let's talk about actually copywriting as a whole and just your ability to speak your message, right? People will not buy from you if you do not say the right words. They will not, for example, I know that most of my ideal clients, they are doing okay. They're doing decent, maybe they've done 10K months or 20K months or 30K months before. But the thing is, they can't keep it consistent. And they're stressed out about their calendars being booked. They're stressed out about, will they grow? They're stressed out about, how do I get predictability in my business? And a lot of people hire me because of that. And it's like, if I don't use the right words that are going to speak directly to what they're thinking right now and in their level of awareness, my goal is not to make myself feel smart, right? It's to help my ideal client feel smart, give them clarity, and show them the path to how they'll succeed. And that's what all of us have to do, right? So it's getting good at writing copy is that. Obviously, yes, there's copywriting frameworks. You can look at all of them, right? There's the AIDA, the AIDA, attention, interest, desire, and action, or something like that, right? There's a lot of different copyright frameworks, and I teach a lot of my own inside of the In-Demand Coach. But it's really getting clear on the words that you have to use in your copy or even in your video to be able to connect with people on a deep level, right? To be able to captivate them and to keep their attention, and to ultimately pre-sell them and create demand so that you can convert people into your program so you can actually change their life. You can actually help them, right? And then understand this when it comes to like, copy and communicating your message is you're going to communicate it in 5 different ways. So there's 5 types of content, which is like essentially the vehicle you're going to use to communicate. There's connection content. Connection content is going to be content where you're like taking a stand against, or you're taking a stand for what you stand for and what you stand against. Maybe you're sharing your values, you're sharing your beliefs, you're sharing your lifestyle, you're sharing things along those lines. And that's going to deeply connect it with people because people like them. So connection content should equally repel people as much as it should attract people. Then you have influence content. This is content that you're specifically persuading people. You're helping them. You're helping dismantle common objections and limiting beliefs. Right? You're discrediting any common misconceptions or mistakes or actions that they're taking that aren't serving them. Right? That's influence content, and you're aligning them with the thing that you know to be true that's going to help them the most. You're installing beliefs that they need to believe. You're helping give them clarity on actions they need to take, right? And then there's authority proof. Or authority content. This is where you're sharing content that's, maybe like, here's how I did XYZ, kind of like I'm doing right now, right? Here's how to do XYZ. It's content that positions you as an authority, but also super valuable to your ideal clients, right? Then you have social proof content, right? This is where you're actually saying like, hey, here's other people that have got results doing things that I've helped them with, right? That's going to inspire people. It's going to give them hope, and it's going to show people that you know what you're doing. And then there's conversion content. That's number 5. Conversion content is going to be content that you're specifically, as we talked about at the beginning, like you're using certain call to actions, right? Certain hooks to be able to drive traffic to some kind of conversion event, which we'll unpack this here right at the end. And then, take a stand, as I alluded to. Take a stand and polarize people. Like, speak from your truth. And when you can do this and you can infuse this into your copywriting, and when I say copywriting, I mean both like the written word and the spoken word. And you can get really good at just at doing this and speaking your message in a way that connects, captivates, and converts people. Anything that you put out is going to have you're going to have a much easier time. It's like, just like I was talking about earlier, it's like when somebody dials in their calories, then they start eating food, right? They're going to all of a sudden start seeing way better results because they're actually on point. And so that's number 2. Strategy number 3, it's like really focusing in on deep diving into skills like, as I just said, copywriting, strategic videos to where you can persuade people eloquently, right? You can persuade people. Appointment setting, you've got to do appointment setting. And I look at appointment setting and I'm bucketing in here with content today because like, dude, like if you're like, to me, conversations are content, right? That's like the new content. Like if you actually know how to have a really good conversation with people, and not just that, but like in the lead nurture process, right? When you could follow up with strategic content, like video sales letters that you put together. And I teach all of this in the Demand Coach. So if you're curious, just reach out. Strategic lead magnets, which are a form of content. And you can get really good at booking appointments by nurturing people with effective content, strategic content. You're going to have a much easier time creating that consistency and that predictability when it comes to signing people up. And then you have systems, right? Systems. Now, we're going to keep this like really centered around like content today, but systems, you have to have systems to create leverage and have something repeatable and to be able to stay consistent with, right? And so in terms of this, as I talked about many times already, is a content system to drive inbound leads, right? And so I'm going to give you 6 steps that you can like write down right now on the most simple version of the conversion content systems that I teach people. So the first thing, every single month you have to do this, is choose a theme based around a pain or desire. This is going to be a central theme that's going to guide your messaging for that given month, or you could do this in, a lot of my students will have them do it in bi-weekly chunks, right? So they're doing it 2 weeks and then they have another theme for 2 weeks. But this could be like, say you're in weight loss. This could be like, the theme could be losing stubborn belly fat before spring break or something, right? That could be like a centralized theme based on the time of year that you're in. Then once you have a theme that's has a specific pain or desire, then you're going to choose a conversion event. And what a conversion event is, at least to me, is going to be some kind of strategic live training you're doing. It could be a live series. It could be a crash course. Like I could take this video and I could turn it into a crash course. It could be a challenge. It could be like some kind of lead magnet or ebook or something that has like video. Typically for conversion events to work the best, you're going to want to have some video aspect to it. Unless you're just like a gangster at writing and you're just like really freaking good at writing, you could probably get away with just written word. But for most people, like adding some kind of video element to all of their conversion events are going to just work better. Okay. So have some kind of conversion event. That's like number 2. So you have your theme, you pick a conversion event that's going to help address that pain or desire, right? And you're going to shift perspectives. You're going to give them value. You're going to give them actions. You're going to have a good call to action in it, right? And then you want to map out content so you can create demand for that conversion event, right? And so what I'm going to show you something, and you can download this. It's in the description below. Is I've created this content ebook, and I go into like depth into examples on different kinds of conversion content and call to actions and like all of the content we're talking about today. I have it all in here and plus more. And so I even give you like example content sequences that you can do. So if you want a copy of this, it's for free. It's for Frizzle. You can go ahead and go into the description below and click download, or just click the link and it'll take you to somewhere where you can download it. All right, so you want to map out content to create demand for it. And in that ebook, I walk you through a lot of it, right? And then you want to just make sure that you have the right hooks and the right call to actions. Then you're going to time block in your calendar when you're going to create the content and when you'll post, because let's just be honest, if you don't time block it, it's probably not going to happen. And then you want to also time block to debrief and gather KPIs. What you don't measure, you don't improve. And so I see a lot of people, they post content, or I'll even have clients that do these content sequences, and then they like, oh, I have a meeting with them, and if you're watching this, I'm speaking real right now, then they're like, oh yeah, I didn't track my KPIs. And I'm like, dude, like, go freaking gather the data, look at the KPIs, otherwise you don't know what to improve. Like for example, I had a client who we implemented one of these content campaigns, and he booked 41 calls. 41 calls in a 2-week time span. And he closed nobody. And so I was like, well, the good news is we can generate a lot of calls, right? But the bad news is like, we got to work on your sales process, because your sales process is non-existent if you can't close anybody, right? Or it could be messaging. Anyways, that's besides the point, right? Or I had another client implement this and the lead nurture with using strategic content, and she went from $10,000 to $80,000 in sales. And the reason is because we're constantly looking at KPIs. We're seeing what needs to be improved. Is it the hooks? Is it the call to actions? What is it, right? Is it the appointment setting? What is it? But if you don't track your KPIs, you're going to fly blind and you'll never know. And to be honest, if you're not tracking your KPIs, you're probably not ready to be a successful entrepreneur. So there's that. So with that said, let's go ahead and do a quick recap. Your brand messaging is the 5% that's going to produce 95% of your results. Okay. So in order for you to be able to work that, like, you just got to come up with the right words to use to position your brand differently than everybody else. Right. And then you want to get eyeballs, get good at writing copy, and get good at video and speaking your message. You want to build the right skills, right? And make sure that you're implementing content sequences that utilize the right story, hooks, and call to action. And that, my friend, that is how to use conversion content. That's how we use conversion content to be able to consistently drive sales into our business. I hope you found this massively helpful, massively beneficial. Again, click the link in the bio if you would like to get my 7-figure content ebook that goes over different content types, gives you templates, gives you examples, all of the good stuff. And I hope that it helps. I know that it will help. All right, if you found this video helpful, click like, drop a comment below, let me know what you thought, and freaking subscribe. And I just broke all of the rules with call to actions. I just gave you like 4. And so do them all. Much love. As always, remember your message matters now more than ever has before. Don't be afraid to speak it. Be seen, be heard, and be impactful.